So we're going to be talking today about the ECM Puristica, which
No
is a
way.
machine. Yeah, we
No.
are, which is
No.
they've actually made. How long have we been talking
Ooh.
about manufacturers not making the machine that we want, that we demand, I should say, as a
I think it
consumer?
was 2 episodes ago.
No, we've been demanding this for years, and they haven't been making it. And
Yeah.
and then I found out that actually ECM did make it, and there's a couple actually have made it. One's
Mhm.
that have made something along the lines of what we're looking for, which is a machine dedicated for espresso. And today we're going to talk about one of them. So there's a couple actually come out. Today we're going to be talking about one of them,
Many,
which is
like 2.
three. But the price
3.
points seem to be, yeah, they're sort of three-ish.
7.
No, there's only three.
I
But
got
the price
excited.
points, we don't actually know the price points of a couple
We don't know
of
the
them.
price points, but they're probably going to be overpriced as per usual.
Price. Well, I'll tell you in a bit. We'll talk about what it is, and then we'll talk about price and what the nets are saying. You know, there's a lot of gambling going on
Yes.
in boiler rooms about what the price is going to be. So before we start that, let me just say thank you very much. We had a lot of new subscribers over the last couple of weeks. We went around last week because Max screwed up his technology, but
I didn't screw it up. It's just obsolete.
it's just, yeah, for some reason, technology that's 20 years old may not be ideally suited for modern day podcasting.
It's not 20. My laptop is from 2008. Perfectly
2008.
respectable.
Nothing wrong with that. So we didn't do one last week, but we're doing it this week. What I would like, so in the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of really great people subscribe, some very nice people. I know you're nice because you subscribed. Only nice people subscribe to this channel. And so if you've subscribed, it basically puts you in the nice person camp. Well done. Gold star for you. And so thank you for that. I would also like to remind everybody, especially the new subscribers, that we have a competition going on. It's actually not really
It's not a competition because
well, there's a
skill is not
winner.
involved.
Yeah, that's right. There's nothing. You don't have to do anything, which is the best kind of competition, right? Those are the ones that I like. To win sort of a giveaway, basically, to win this, which is the peak water filter.
I thought you were going to lift a coffee machine or something.
I actually, it's not heavy at all. I was expecting it to be heavy. I can't remember.
Nearly threw it across the room.
Throw it up. So the peak coffee water filter, which is something I've been using for a year, I guess, or something since it first came out.
It's a second hand.
Not second hand. I've got another one that I use.
Okay.
This is a brand new one. And it's really, so they're not affiliated with us. This isn't like they're not sponsoring the show or anything like that. So I've basically been using this for about a year or so. Really liked it. Changed the way that I was enjoying my coffee because it massively improved the flavor of the coffee versus just putting like Brita water filtered coffee water in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to give one of those away. We were supposed to be giving it away at the end of this month, but given the fact that I started a week late and we missed a week, I'm going to be cheap.
Let's wait for some more people to join.
Yeah, I'm going to be cheap and then basically give it away at the end of September. So got time to sign up. Just go head over. There'll be some show notes with a link. Just basically bartalks.net/giveaway. So go to our giveaway page on the website and you can put your email address in there. When you put your email address in, you basically get entered into every giveaway that we give. So we don't spam you. We don't give your information or sell it or pass it on to any third parties at all. No one sees it. It just lets you become part of the community, and we get to give away usually a kilo of beans each month.
Or sometimes coffee filter.
In this case, a water filter. Yeah,
not a
so
coffee filter.
which is fantastic. If you haven't had one, they're fantastic. You do have to be in the UK, alas, because I'm not going to ship this around the world. But if you're in the UK, definitely give that a go. So a couple bits of news very quickly, Max, and we'll jump right into it. The first is, because this is going to be interesting. The first is, I thought what I should actually do, and one of the viewers was interested in one of the interviews that we did. He put a note onto one of our YouTube things saying, "Hey, where do I go to see this interview you did with?" It was with one of the owners of Lilith, and I was like, well, you go to our website. And I realized, we never talk about the website.
There is a website.
There is actually
it exists.
It's quite a serious website. So we've got a website called bartalks.net where we talk, literally post every single day about the coffee and cocoa industry. And we also do a lot of interviews, and many of the interviews are on the YouTube channel. There's a separate YouTube channel to this on interviews. Some of them are done, are just done on as blogs. So for example, we did a Q&A session with the founder of Niche Zero, the Niche Zero coffee grinder. So that people find that interesting. We did interview with Mauro from one of the owners and founders of the Let It Coffee machine company. If you go onto the video, on my video YouTube channel, we've got interviews galore from people like Stefano Della Pietra, who's the chief designer for La Marzocco. We've got interviews. Stefano. No doubt I really pissed him off during that interview calling him Stefano.
That's okay.
Stefano sounds more Italian. Are you sure, Stefano? Are you sure?
Quite.
Okay, all right. So we've got interviews with him. We've got interviews with Josh Wilbur, who founded Steeped Coffee, which is like specialty coffee in a bag. We've got interviews with the CEO, Michael Chrisman, of Farmer Connect. If you don't know who they are, if you go and buy coffee in the supermarket and it's got like that like orangutan on it, or there's a OMR code and you can scan it and see where it's come from, that's his technology. Interestingly, and here's a little bit of an inside track, a little bit of a tip, is that next week I will be interviewing the CEO of Illy Cafe. Ooh. So so we've been trying to set that up for quite a while. I will pronounce his name. I will hash it here because I got to practice it. Massimilio Pogliano. No. But no. Oh God. Oh God. I better practice this.
Does he have my same name?
Yeah, he has your name, Massimilio. Right. Is it Massimilio, right?
No, it's Massimiliano.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one. That guy. God, I hope he's not watching. The interview was a cancel, Tanique. Say it one more time.
Massimiliano.
Massimiliano. Okay, I'm going to practice that. Is there an accepted short abbreviation? Max. I'll ask if I can call him Max. He might say no, and then I'll have to practice anyway. So we've got an interview with him talking about how he's steered the company into being a B Corp. So if you know what a B Corp is, it's basically where you have two bottom lines to the business. You have the financial bottom line, and then you have like a social good bottom line. You actually measure your impact on society and so forth. So it's going to be a really interesting interview with him. We've had interviews with, what was done with? We did the interviews with Atomo Coffee. Do you remember Atomo? Atomo?
Yes. I'm still waiting for the
free coffee from them.
For the
free not coffee.
The not coffee.
So these guys are scientists that invented a way to make coffee without coffee. I think they're out in Seattle. This is really interesting. And as a complete coincidence, next week I've also got another interview with founders of an interesting company. It's adjunctly related to coffee. This is on the cocoa side. These guys are recreating cocoa in the same way Atomo recreated coffee. They're recreating cocoa for chocolate with material science. And guess what? The founder,
like chocolate.
Well, I don't know. We'll find out next week. The founder used to be, I think, the chief scientist for Atomo. So, and her and her brother have now got a startup in Germany, and they're doing the same thing for cocoa. So we've got lots of great stuff on there. Go out and check it out if you haven't done already. Sorry, I've spoken too long on it. Didn't mean to take that much time, but we haven't ever spoken about it before, so I deserve it.
Yeah, but enough of blowing our own trumpet.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that. So this ECM machine, Max.
Yes.
What do you think of it?
I'm confused actually, because I'm actually quite confused. I don't get it. It is an interesting concept. So what it is the ECM Puristica that doesn't have a steam one, which, it's a good idea. It's a good concept, but it's got an E61 group head, or at least what it looks like an E61 group head, which I don't understand. Because why would you have an E61 group head that is heated up with a thermosiphoning system when you don't have a steam wand, which is, you don't have a steam wand because you have to have a boiler to make milk, to froth milk. Is actually the steam comes from the thermosiphon, and it's just a byproduct of the boiler. It's not that you build the steam wand and it deducts from your coffee machine. It doesn't. So I don't understand that. So if you have a boiler, why don't you tap the steam off the boiler? That's it's not a problem.
I actually have an answer to that, but I'll let you continue.
Okay. And if you don't have a boiler, why do you put an E61 group head? There is a better way of actually transferring the heat to your portafilter and to your coffee, which is a saturated group head, which is a Gadja system, somehow, something similar, or a big lump of metal that you heat up, and you have a thing.
Yeah, you're waving your finger around. I'm playing. I'm trying to
Spiral.
go along with
Yeah,
you, but
you have a
saturated group
spiral.
head.
Yeah, you have a group. Let's say you have a big lump of metal, like in an espresso machine.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they already have something like that, an espresso. You have a coil. Coil, that was the
Oh,
word.
like a thermocoil,
Yeah, you have a
like
thermocoil.
like the thingamies do, like
Yeah,
Breville.
you have a thermocoil mounted on top of your portafilter. I mean, on the portafilter holder, and but that's it. You heat up the water as it goes down. Done, sorted, and that's electronically regulated. It probably doesn't look as snazzy, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's pretty.
My understanding is that the thermal stability of those thermocoils is not as good as like a saturated group head. That's always otherwise, frankly, everybody would be doing it, I would have thought.
I don't know.
Yeah. So listen, the reason why, and this is ECM is a German company. They're very well known for good quality, German engineered, nice machines, solid, last a lifetime,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I have it on good authority, which I'm just making up as I go along. That what happened actually was they were planning to build this machine, and then somebody walked into the warehouse and it was like, "Oh my God!" They found all these boxes of E61 group heads that they forgot about, and they've got this big mountain of group heads, and they're like, "What can we do?" And they're like, "You know what? We'll stick it on. We'll just whack it on this thing, and we'll sell it as a new machine." That's probably, almost certainly, I can almost guarantee that's what happened. Or alternatively, to that, very plausible theory, there is another possibility, which is that simply they understand E61 group heads. They've got all the tooling, the equipment, the everything else, and probably the parts. I mean, in all seriousness, that means they can reuse the parts. Now, thinking about it from a marketing point of view, they don't know how many of these things they're going to sell, because this isn't really a market where they can predict sales, because it's new territory. There's not that many people doing it. So if I was a business leader thinking to myself, I want to try this new thing. Do I want to make a new line, buy in newer parts, new tooling, train new people up, all the rest of it, and then sell a small quantity of them? I don't. What I'll do is I'll sell this machine first, like this, with tried and trusted, basically using the least amount of investment as possible. If it goes well, okay, then maybe I'll think about investing in the next generation. But I think this is them feeling out how big the market would be for a dedicated espresso machine. But it's interesting what you say, because I hadn't actually thought about that, why. And in fact,
Well, they actually say it's a single boiler coffee machine. They don't
yeah,
explain how it's heated. So single boiler coffee machine. The first thing that comes to my mind is heat exchanger.
it's not a heat exchanger. I'm pretty sure it's
So
not.
it's not a heat exchanger. So it's a single boiler. What does
Mhm.
it? How does it heat the group head? Is it electronically heated? Because they actually have a coffee machine in their line that has a single boiler or dual boiler, they used to have something that had an E61 group head looking like, but it was electronically heated.
I didn't know that. Which one was that?
I don't know if it was ECM or another one that was doing one of those shiny boxes. Rocket maybe could have been. I don't know. It doesn't sound like Rocket though. Rocket
No.
that would make something proper. It was an entry level, and it's fine. I understand the point behind it, but if you have an electronically heated group E61 group head, why would you want an E61 group head electronically heated? Because so you can lie to your friends when they come over
It
and you
looks
say, "Oh
good.
yeah, look,
It
I've
looks. It's
got a."
got that classic look for sure.
Yes, but other than that, it's actually more complicated to modify an E61 group head to heat it electronically instead of having something different. That
Yeah.
doesn't
No,
need to be anything
I
special.
totally agree. I totally agree. Well,
So
one of the machines we're going to talk about next week as a bit of a teaser is not doing. It's not doing
Nova
that.
Simonelli, the new Oscar.
Oh God! All right. Yeah.
I
No, it's
have
not that
seen
one.
it. I want one.
It's not that. It's not that one. Oh well,
Oh, I want
we
to talk about it.
okay. Well, we'll talk about the Oscar in a minute. No, it's not that one I'm talking about. It's something else, as you know. But then we can talk about the Oscar Simonelli in a little bit. But just going back to the ECM,
Yeah.
it was fascinating reading people who were sort of talking on the boards about it, and they were saying, "Oh, it's the perfect machine if only they added a steam wand." It's like, come on, guys, you missed the one. If they just added a steam wand and a hot water dispenser, it'd be the perfect machine. You're like, no, that would be the same machine that they're already selling. You're missing the point.
Yeah.
But
The thing is, they've actually done something slightly different. So they have an expansion valve, and the expansion valve knob,
I
the
know you got to the
adjusting
best bit.
is actually outside on the coffee machine, which is actually something very clever to do.
It's really
Although,
cool looking too.
yes and no. Two things. I think that if you have an E61 group head, there is a better solution. There is actually, you can do flow profiling. If it's a real E61 group head, that's my teaser, because it probably isn't. It has a vibrational pump, but you can always, add a needle valve on top of the machine, on top of the group head, and then you regulate the flow instead of regulating the pressure, which gives you the same effect. And one of the things actually that is quite interesting of the guy, there you go, of the
So
video.
yeah, so I'm just going to share
The
the screen a
video
little bit for
says,
those that are watching as opposed to listening.
yes,
That's the machine we're talking about, and the knob that you're referring to is the one, the little circular thing, the top right hand
yeah,
of this very small footprint machine. You'll see it says there expansion valve in
yes,
some
it
kind of
says
language.
valvola espansione.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is, I don't know. I think I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that this is the fake, the pretend E61 group head, because I think it's missing a knob at the top. It's missing a bolt at the top.
Oh, okay. That'll be very interesting to know. Look,
But
here's the deal. People are sort of probably asking themselves, I'll call and say, when's ECM coming out with this? There's a few more things we want to talk about it, but they actually announced this in 2019 with the intention to ship it mid 2020.
yeah,
Of course, we all know what happened, so that didn't happen. But my question is, what now, right? So we
yeah,
haven't heard anything new from them. I don't know if this machine is going to be launched this year or not. I would hope that it is. There's still a few people talking about it.
yeah,
They had a few niggles to work out, but I would expect this is actually the perfect time if ECM can launch it to launch it, because there's loads of people who are still working from home who want to
hmm,
buy and invest into a machine, and who would probably see something like this as a really great option.
yeah. I'm nitpicking here. I am nitpicking.
Really, Max, is
The-
someone like you?
Hey, I know, right? But so from my perspective, I don't understand the point of doing a single boiler with an E61 group head. But putting that aside, it's got a lot of good ideas. So you have the pressure gauge right where you see it. So it's at the top on the left.
Yeah.
and then you have the expansion valve on the right hand side, so you can
Yeah.
actually play with the pressure. However, in their video, in the introduction video, the guy that introduces it
Hmm.
says, yeah, you can play with the pressure, but you normally don't do it very much. I have a feeling that it's not as robust.
Well, I think it's not repeatable. So the point is,
Well, you
this is a
can probably
playful.
do it repeatable. I mean, by hand. You just
But I'm saying
decide.
it's not electronically controlled, and
Yes.
therefore you've got to remember exactly where you turn the knob at what time
Yeah.
and the rest of it. So in that respect, it's not really repeatable,
Yeah.
because it's dependent upon our human abilities, which means it's, in my case, it's doomed to fail. But what a lot of fun! What a lot of fun! You got the dial on the left. So you're making your coffee and you're thinking, oh, I'll start off with a bit of low pressure and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ramp it up. And as you twiddle the knob to the right, the pressure ramps up and you can see the needle immediately respond. And then you get it to where you want it to be at 9 bars or whatever you're doing. And then you
Mm-hmm.
think, I'm going to tail it off a little bit. So you start to tail it off. And obviously then you can start to play around also with extraction times. I think this is a playful machine.
It is definitely. I agree with you on that. It's I think I had the feeling for some reason that they were stressing on details that are not so important. For example, they made a big fuss about, oh, you have an external tank that you can put wherever you like, on the left or on the right or behind. Who cares?
You know what? Now you hit upon the one thing that I really didn't like about it. And I have to say that this was a pre-production unit and they did say that this was going to look different. But I hate those tubes coming out the top. Just hate
That
them.
is probably just because it's a pre-production unit. They're
I
probably going
really
to
hope
tidy them
so.
up. But the fact that you can put the water tank on the left or on the right, seriously, is that something that
Yeah, it's something a
is
lot of
worth
people like,
talking
Max.
about?
Believe it or
No.
not, it's something a lot of people like. And I'll tell you why. And you know where you've
But
seen it before? It's on the Lele Bianca.
yes, and I get it. I get it. But there is a ton of other stuff to talk about of this machine instead of saying, oh, this is very useful. You can put it on the left or on the right. Yes,
Well, I think
I
what they've
can
tried
see
to do
that.
here in defense of them, and I want to be in defense of them because I actually like this machine. What they seem to have done is looked at a lot of what other companies have done and
Mhm.
said, you know what, I like that. I'm gonna copy it. Fair
Yeah.
enough. If you take the drip tray open, inside you got your blanking plate underneath
Mm-hmm.
the drip tray.
Yeah.
Where have we seen that before? Breville, Sage. Yeah, we've seen
Yeah.
that before. Other people have done that,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes complete sense. So copy it.
Absolutely.
I think the
Absolutely.
same thing's true with the water tank.
Yes, I mean, I get it. It's just that, for example, there is the expansion valve that you can play with. It's actually within reach. They decided to do that. That is something disruptive. Is something new.
Yeah,
That you can talk about it for 5 minutes. It's a PID machine.
yeah.
It's a
With a shot
PID
with the shot
machine.
timer, it's got
Shot
everything
timer.
right
So
there, and these things work beautifully. I've
it
seen them.
tells you
They're great.
everything. So you can see this stuff. You stress on that feature. It's got the E61 twiddly knob uh, thing,
Pre-infusion,
the pre-infusion thing, which
yeah, the lever,
I
yeah.
want to understand actually. Is that really doing pre-infusion? I don't think so
Not in
because
this case because it's not plumbed in. But
exactly. So you
don't think you can plumb it in. It's a vibration pump
yeah,
machine, so it's not a
exactly.
rotary pump. It's a vibration pump.
And so
Um,
there isn't really any sort of residual pressure
no,
that would
it,
allow you to do a pre-infusion. So I don't really see the point of that. But
mm.
you have that. Um, why would you stress over putting the water tank on the left or on the right? I
You're
mean,
still
seriously,
going on
that's
about the water tank.
yes.
Well,
I got
because,
upset about it.
because, first of all, some people will say, I've got very limited space to the left and to the right. I'll slot it in here. It'll fit in perfectly. Other people will say, do you know what? I don't like how much that sticks out. I've got space on my counter. I'll put the tank off to the right or whatever, and they'll
Mhm.
push it right up against the back of the wall. It gives people flexibility. What's wrong with that?
No, that's absolutely fine. It's just I don't get it. But anyway,
Well, there's nothing to
that
get.
is
I
not
think it's just,
something that I would, let's say, it's not something I would, you know, make a big fuss about.
Yeah.
It's a single boiler. Tell me how is a single boiler. Tell me how does it heat the water up?
I expect they probably will when they launch it. I mean, this is a pre-launch,
Yes.
so they probably will when they launch it. You just have to wait until then. Something else that there's a little feature on here which I quite like, which I know you'll like as well,
Mm-hmm.
is that the colors, that the wrap for the audio listeners, the wrap that's going around the top of this is a very small footprint machine.
Yes.
I would say it's the size. I mean, it's hard to tell, but it's kind of slimish. It's sort of the
Probably
size of a Gagio, maybe a little bit bigger.
smaller. It looks
You think big? I think it's
actually
a bit taller.
no. I think it's actually smaller than that. I think it's
Okay.
more. It reminds me a little bit of the probably of the Gaggia Espresso. I don't know if
Okay.
you know what I mean. The
No.
plasticky ones,
Oh,
the
okay.
older ones. Um, so it's tiny. So it's got a very small footprint, and it doesn't have actually anywhere to heat up the cups. As you can see from here, the cups are sitting on top.
The cups are sitting on top. I mean, I don't think that's going to be hot. There's no heat, little holes coming through that. So
Uh,
I don't think that's going to be hot at all.
it should be warmer,
Well,
but
just because it's in proximity, but I don't think it's
yes,
actually going to be a cup warmer per se.
no, it's gonna be like in the Gaggia,
Yeah, which is
hopeless.
pretty hopeless. Let's be honest. But that wrap going around it, which basically looks like a U shape, starting
Mm-hmm.
from the bottom, going around at the top with smooth curves on the top, and then wrapping all the way around down the other side. That color is in this picture we're showing is black, but you can get them, I think, in 3 or 4 different colors.
Yeah,
Um,
they actually they were saying that they haven't decided yet on
yeah,
the colors, and I think it might be only one color or maybe a few colors. It would be cool. At least it's not a shiny box.
well, it's shiny at the front,
It's shiny at the
but it's not
front though.
shiny everywhere. So that's kind of cool. We just mentioned Gaggia there. I have to
Yes.
say, this to me, I won't say it's a shot across the bows to Gaggia because I think it's kind of it's a different market, but it's not that much of a different market. There's a lot of people. I think let's talk about price and let's talk about what this means, in my opinion, for Gaggia.
Yeah.
Price wise, people are estimating. Most people think it's going to be somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 euros. I think it's some people are saying, oh no, it should be 800 euros or
I
something.
think it
I don't
might be
think
a
so.
little less because between 1,000 and 1,500, there is already one machine from their range.
The Classica,
Yeah,
yeah. I think it's got to be around 1,000 euros. That's my
probably it's gonna
opinion.
be float around that price,
Yeah,
which is more expensive than a classic, however,
it
and
is.
less.
But listen to this. Okay, listen to this. You've got a machine with uh, soft pre-infusion, which
Hmm.
okay, let's bear in mind. Okay, I know it's not the best pre-infusion, but it's never this pre-infusion. You've
Yeah.
got a professional 58 mil portafilter like they do. You've got a
Hmm.
small form factor. I think it looks a lot nicer, a lot more modern. You've got that expansion valve. You can
You
play
have
around
that.
with profiling. I mean, I think that's and a machine that frankly looks a lot more professional. It's going to keep its looks better. It's a solid machine. It's solid stainless steel
Hmm.
frame. I think as far as Gaggia is concerned, this is when I see this, if I was to put this next to a Gaggia Classic Pro, I would say that Classic Pro looks out of date. It looks old. It needs to be updated. And I think if Gaggia doesn't get off their butt and actually do something
Hmm.
to introduce, and I would introduce a new one. I wouldn't replace the Gaggia Classic. I would introduce a new machine that is a modern take on the Classic Pro that addresses, I think, some of their, I wouldn't say design failures, but just they just need a massive overhaul, like facelift on their equipment.
Yeah,
Um,
they're getting a bit old. The thing is, from their perspective, what they have is they have a machine that can do both. Because if I was in Gaja, I would actually add a PID available.
oh, 100% has to be.
Yeah, you put a PID that's easy to program, like they did in Rancilio at the end of the day. I mean, the Rancilio Silvia, the new one, despite the fact that it's complicated to operate because they decided to go for the two-button
It's a
PID,
horrible, horrible
but
control.
that is a winner. I mean, I am really impressed by that machine. It looks really, really interesting. The one that is, I think, lagging behind is the Gaja at this point. And
Totally.
they have they're doing a bit of both, because they're doing both the steam and the coffee. And the coffee is great. Steam is a bit asthmatic.
Mm.
So I don't know if there is a better way of having steam or producing steam faster, fast-ish, instead of using their own the same boiler that makes coffee. But
No, they can invent something. Look, I think there's a lot of different options. You take a look at the fact that Breville uses a thermocoil. How important is heat stability in steaming milk? Maybe, and I literally just thought of this right now, so it's got to be a bad idea. But I'm just thinking, why don't you have a saturated group head like they've got for the espresso and a thermocoil for the steam milk? I don't know. Is that going to make it too expensive?
it if you make it like that, you might as well do a dual boiler.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, that's not our problem. Our problem is to
No,
criticize. That's our job.
exactly.
It's their job to fix the problems.
But for example, this machine here, this ECM, would you buy it?
Yeah, I would. No, I wouldn't buy it now because I've got a Rocket,
Apart
which
from,
is
I mean, if
doing
you
a great
didn't
job.
have.
But I tell you right now, if I was coming into the market, if I
Mhm.
still had my Classic Pro, I would buy this machine. Absolutely,
Okay.
100%. And I'd be very happy with it, I'm sure.
On the other hand, I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, because it's not pink and plastic or something. You want something
No,
with
it's
wings on it.
no, for me is they've removed some things, but they haven't given it anything on top. They haven't given me anything. So I
Well,
think it would be
apart from the flexibility of the movable water tank, the pressure profiling, the convenience of keeping your accessories under the drip tray. What else do they need? I tell you what I would have liked would be to plumb it in and get proper pre-infusion. That would have been the one thing I would have liked to have had. That it's sort
to
of
plumb
missing.
it in, you have to go for a
Rotary pump.
rotary pump, which would put another 300 pounds on top of it.
Yeah,
So it is
yeah.
not something that's easily done, and adds more complication. And it's big. Yeah,
Wait a
massive.
minute. Hasn't there, just as a question, and we'll wrap it up in a second, but
Yes.
just a question, isn't there a technology where you can use vibration pumps and still have a way to bring water in from a main system? I'm pretty sure I saw a machine doing that.
No, I don't think so, because the vibrational pump is what is called a diaphragm pump. So you have a diaphragm that is like a drum. Think of a drum.
Mm-hmm.
It gets full of water, and then you have a piston that pushes it.
All right.
And then when it goes back, it
It sucks the next.
fills again and then pushes again.
Right.
So it goes like.
Well, that makes an awful lot of sense as to why it makes that sound.
Yeah.
But my question, I think, was more along the lines of, you have that pump for the espresso, but is there not a separate way that they could draw water in to do the pre-infusion, like almost like a second pump, a dedicated pumpy thing, bit of technology? I don't know. I'll see if I can.
There are ways. You can have two circuits. You can have one circuit with that is set at 2 bars.
Yeah.
With an expansion valve that is set at 2 bar.
Yeah.
And then a diverter valve that diverts the flow into the normal circuit that goes at 9 bar.
Wow. Max, let's wrap it up there. If we next week we're going to talk about the machine that we haven't mentioned, which is just being launched very soon, I believe. May have been launched. I don't think it has been launched, but anyway, it's going to be a very interesting machine. I don't know the price of it yet. We'll talk about that machine, because that's also, well, it's kind of similar in its market segment, but probably a bit more expensive. Next week. We're also going to, maybe we should talk about some of the coffees we're drinking, because I'm drinking some amazing coffees at the moment, and I really want to talk about those. So one last piece of news, interesting little factoid to end on, which is that, I mean, we know we've been talking about Brazil's terrible harvest and all of the farmers that have lost either 40% or maybe even 100% of their crops. Did you know, I was doing, there was some research came out that over the last 3 seasons, that Brazil has increased their output of Robusta by 20%. And in fact, over the last decade, was it decade? Maybe it's 20 years, they've increased their Robusta by 300% production. And
And
the word on the street.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you a secret actually.
Yeah, tell
I
me.
was having, I've been having Dark Woods Deer Heel, which is a blend with Robusta,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
amazing. It's really good. I've actually just ordered a kilo of it because I like it so
Fantastic.
much.
Fantastic. Well, no, what I'm trying to say with this is that I think a lot of us are going to be drinking more Robusta
Mhm.
going forward because I think roasters they're going to need to get a hold of coffee and the Arabica prices are going up and Robusta is becoming more available. I think expect to see more blends with Robusta in them going forward. So
Yeah.
it'll factoid to end on.
But is it a bad thing?
No,
Not necessarily.
no,
It can be good.
look, I think what's going to happen is that certain Arabica coffees are going to we're going to have to appreciate them more.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. Max, great catching up with you, my good friend, sir. Next week, you're going to put your kittens on the podcast with you, your new kittens. How old are they?
Oh, 2 months.
Just 2 months. Oh, sweet.
So they're about this big. So
Are
for
they,
now they're like keychains.
little boy kittens or little girl kittens?
Boys, 2 boys.
Okay, two boys. All right, fantastic. So, yeah, enjoy that, and we will talk to you next week.